Event Freelancers, welcome to your new community, connecting you to your next project. Get connected. Sign up now. It's free.
Welcome to the final session of our summit, and what a session it is. One thing that we all know about this extraordinary industry is that we all work in is that we are a can-do industry. We make events, we make things happen. The story of Make It Blue embodies that can-do spirit 100% and more. The collective had a simple idea, with the pure motives to celebrate the amazing work that the frontline workers and medical staff were doing in the healthcare sector. And it started with a call between Chuck Crampton and Gary White. They reached out to a few more, and so many people across the industry responded. So without any further delay, let me welcome the Make It Blue collective and the amazing story of how Make It Blue went global.
Hello, my name is Tom Rees and I'm part of the Make It Blue collective. It's clearly been a successful day here at the Event Freelancer Summit, and we are flattered and honoured to be asked to close it with our story. Make It Blue are a global collective who came together as event and entertainment freelancers and business owners to thank medical care and frontline workers during this difficult time. Here to tell our story are some representatives of the UK collective, some of whom you may know from projects we've worked on together around the world. Joining me today are Gary White, Chuck Crampton, Sam Lee, Kenny Underwood, Sarah Webster, and Richard Kirk. Gary and Chuck, why don't we start by outlining how this all began?
Basically, as the reality of COVID hit us all, when all of our work dried up, well, my work dried up, I knew other colleagues had in the same position, and we were all desperate I was desperate to get involved with doing something, to keep my brain going, and also to support the NHS, to show the support to the NHS and to all of our medical guys. And there was the Clap for Carers thing happened, and there was their original date. The first date they were doing was the 26th. I wanted to try and use our lighting companies to show a visual impact and to back up the clapping with lights. And I made a call to Gary around the 18th. We mulled over a few ideas, talked about the issues, and then sort of started phoning around to various colleagues and friends in the industry to pull together what became the collective. We sort of eventually started Zooming on the 21st of March, where we planned to get lighting companies involved, and then that morphed into, due to government lockdown restrictions, into looking for venues which were had LED and basically go with the lighting.
I mean, it was just fantastic how everybody wanted to be engaged, whether it be the freelancers, and then beyond that, once we built the collective and started to decide a way forward, the support we had from everybody involved who assisted us with, their buildings going blue was amazing. And during that process, Tom managed to get some support from a PR company, which allowed us to get some publicity. And then on the Friday after the amazing success of the first Thursday, we decided as a group that we were going to basically make it a weekly thank you from the entertainment sector, a message from us to everybody to say thank you for all your hard work in the most difficult circumstances at the time.
Not long after this, it was clear there was interest elsewhere. How did our international evolution begin?
Well, because, as I mentioned, on the Friday, we decided to continue on a weekly basis in the UK. On the Saturday morning, I felt, why can't we take this bigger, really? Everybody's going through the same situation across the globe. So I contacted Michael Fleur and Joe Zenas in the US, one's on the East Coast, one's on the West, to see if they were interested in picking up the gauntlet. And within a couple of hours, they'd already come back with a positive response.
Hi, I'm Joe Zenas. I'm the CEO of a design and production company called ThinkWell Group, based out of Los Angeles, with offices globally. And I'd been working on a project with Gary White in Saudi Arabia specifically when the lockdown happened. And he called me after their first week of doing the Light It Blue campaign in the UK, talking about the success of that and seeing if we wanted to help bring it to the United States. So New York was a big hotspot for us at the time, and I reached out to a producing partner and 30-year friend, Michael Fuhr, to see if he wanted to help put a collective together and bring it on.
Thanks, Joe. I'm Michael Fuhr. I'm a producer based in New York. And when Joe called, I said yes. You know, that's the history of people who work together on events all around the world. And I then began reaching out to a network of colleagues, friends, freelancers, starting in New York and then really branching out around the country to find people who were like-minded and would help with the cause as well. When we first talked about it, we talked about trying to top what the UK did, and in a matter of 3 days, get more than their 130 buildings. We realized that that would be a little too soon, so we gave ourselves an extra week. And then within that 10-day period, we ended up getting over 500 buildings, landmarks, theaters, arenas, bridges across the country to go blue in support of the frontline and essential workers.
What was really amazing in that process was how quickly the network of freelancers activated, got behind this, unified, got civic buildings, sporting stadiums involved, and then there was enough energy and it just kept going, and then it handed off into other countries around the world. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for this collective of like-minded entertainment professionals that are globally dispersed.
And I think really what the most powerful takeaway for me was that this group of individuals ended up creating a movement. That after the first week in the US, it just kept taking on a life of its own, not only across the US, but then around the world.
So thank you to everybody in the industry. We know it's a tough time, but we know that together we can make massive change and massive movements.
And we'll be back.
So as all this was developing, the need to share the story was front and center. Sarah, from your PR communications perspective, where were we on this and how important did it really become?
Well, of course, our immediate need was to tell the outside world all about Light It Blue. And as Gary mentioned earlier, we were incredibly lucky to gain the support of a global PR company, H&K Strategies. And they distributed our story for us and gained fantastic coverage. We were on television, on the radio, in the national press, and regional papers, of course. So they did a fantastic job. And at the same time, we wanted to engage with members of our own industry. And that's where social media really came into its own, because through platforms like the UK Live Event Freelancers Forum, we were able to reach out to people on Facebook and also, of course, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. So we got a lot of traction through communicating directly with those people. And then lastly, we wanted to involve the general public. So again, we reached out to them and came up with the idea of Make It Blue. We asked all of them to make it blue in whatever way they liked, whether that was painting a blue picture or creating a blue cocktail or singing a blue themed song, as long as they put it on social media, their images and their videos, so that our aim was to turn the internet into a sea of blue, and that's exactly what we did.
And Rich, importantly, we realized how we were becoming a real brand at this stage. As well as being part of the collective, you run a creative agency, Be Curious. How important was the need to evolve into a brand?
Well, it's a good point, Tom. I think everybody in the room will understand the power of brand and how that brand needs to make it a memorable impression on any audience. But first and foremost, I think working with this collective, in my experience in branding, it was a very natural and organic thing, but run with such pace and intensity that I've never come across before. You very rarely get a chance to start with a completely blank canvas in terms of being a brand, but we were given that opportunity. What I was able to do collectively was take Chuck and Gary's idea of what was a hashtag campaign and turn it into some real valuable brand assets, which were essential to H&K through their to navigate their media landscape. Absolutely essential. But also we had to become understandable and credible with, as Sarah just said, with a public audience. At a time where everybody was fighting for share of voice, in a time that COVID had created a new media landscape, we had to look credible. And I really think that's what we were able to bring was, developing brand books, brand assets for social media, assets for PR, but assets for consumers to get involved. And I think, you have to do that with the power of design, with the power of communication. And if you don't have assets and structure to those things, you could potentially lose credibility. And one thing that we were very, very conscious of constantly was that we were trying to unite this idea and the energy and the purpose that this collective had already started, and just kind of unite it. And I think that's really what the brand did. But the need for it was essential to be credible across what became the globe.
As we developed in both the UK and the US, and our social network presence was developing, our country spread was also growing. Sam, perhaps you could take the European story from here.
So Make It Blue Spain began with a phone call from Chuck on a Sunday. Like everyone else, that seemed to seriously interrupt sitting around doing nothing. So I reached out to a couple of freelancers, Roger in Barcelona and Manuel in Madrid. We kicked off the Spanish collective, and then we brought in Javi Tomico, the Creative Spirit team, and Oyer. When we began to be truthful, we were quite surprised by the general apathy in Spain. That included freelancers, venues, city council. Spain was not in a happy place. Plus, we've got a lack of LED technology here, so physically lighting buildings in blue is going to be hard. At the time, we were in tight lockdown, so even if we did get a building, we still had the challenge of taking a picture of it in blue. So that led us on to the fantastic realm of photoshopping existing images of venues that wanted to participate but weren't able to do so. So that was a great success. PR-wise, we had nothing at the beginning, and obviously as freelancers, we know nothing about that either. So we just pumped on through our own social media engagement, working with local dance companies, rugby teams, and working with Dance It Blue, Pass It Blue, which were great fun. And then eventually with a DJ team who were doing live sets, also promoting Drop It Blue. So yeah, that's it really. The rest is history.
Walking on the Ramblers, I feel like flying, flying, flying. Walking on the Ramblers, I feel so funky. Walking on the Ramblers, I feel like flying, flying, flying. Walking on the Ramblers, I feel so funky. Walking on the Ramblers, I feel like flying, flying, flying. Walking on the Ramblers, I feel so funky. Walking on the Ramblers, I feel like flying, flying, flying.
Alongside all of this, and in a very short period of time, it became clear that there needed to be more support. Sarah and Rich, what really helped us get more traction, and why do you think our partners wanted to help us so much?
It's a good point, Tom. I think collectively people wanted to help us because everybody realised that we were such a great cause, and we were starting to think and communicate like a brand. We started to develop campaigns. Some of those that Sam's already mentioned. The Make It Blue developed into Pass It Blue and Dance It Blue. So we were communicating and creating interest like a brand, and that really helped us become a PRable piece. And I think it all comes back to that reason for being a brand was to make a memorable impression on our audience. So as we started to think that way, people started to want to support us in that way.
Yeah, and every element of support that we received came via our own personal contacts within the collective, which was fantastic, as well as Richard's company and of course the PR agency that we heard about before. We were introduced to a brand experience agency called Momentum Worldwide, and their tech team produced some beautiful filters that were a great asset for us to use on social media and really help spread the message in a very engaging way. A second company that helped us was called Mapimize. They are social media analysts. They track Twitter activity, monitor it, and then reproduce the most beautiful visualizations. And they showed a map of the UK with blue lights pulsing to represent every tweet that was made around our activity. So that was really great. And I think, just to echo what Rich said, these companies joined in because they wanted to support our mission, really, which was to be there for people within our industry who were in need, and also to promote a broader message of mental health and well-being.
Gary, coming back to you, as the achievements became bigger in the existing collectives, we were expanding our global reach even further. Where did our efforts take us next?
Yeah, I mean, it was clear that it was becoming really successful across the globe, and it was interesting. There was even some countries like South Korea that were just picking up at the concept of going blue. So we then went, we approached Singapore, and Singapore brought a number of companies and Freelancer Collective together, and they picked up the baton, went with the blue buildings, which is amazing. But beyond that, they also followed their own story, which was See It Blue, due to mental health and wellness. And then from that, within a couple of weeks, we then approached Japan in a similar way. They were extremely organized. They had a fantastic response on the buildings going blue. Following it, everybody across the globe, by the way, was always doing Thursday at 8 p.m. That was something that we specified from day one. And Japan, they had super success with sponsorship as well, with various products and flags.
And with that in mind, here's a couple of videos from our colleagues in Singapore and Japan.
Good morning, everyone, and greetings from Singapore. I'm David, and with me are my team members from Lumina Live, Mercury Social, and Hill & Norton Strategies. And now over to my colleague, Jean from Mercury Social.
We're very proud to be part of the global campaign Make It Blue, and we've chosen to raise awareness of mental health issues with the launch of our Singapore campaign called See It Blue. More than 50 Singapore landmarks lit up in blue every Thursday during May and June 2020 to remind Singaporeans of three key things. See It Blue is an act of solidarity, and we wanted to highlight the importance of mental well-being as people are facing stress, loneliness, and depression, and we wanted to address the issue of stigma with mental health. And we also saw See It Blue as an opportunity to thank frontline workers. Over 50 key landmarks in Singapore turned blue in support of See It Blue. These included buildings, bridges, billboards, and even boats lit up in blue in support for See It Blue. The campaign generated tremendous media coverage in our top broadcast, daily, and online platforms, and included content created by local celebrities, personalities, and individuals from the freelance community, who all played their part in shining a light on mental health awareness. It didn't end with the light up of the buildings. We also worked with freelance videographers to create a series of short films to encourage conversations about mental well-being and to encourage individuals at risk to seek help. A big thank you to all the government partners, freelancers, photographers, videographers, and everybody who got involved to make the campaign a huge success in Singapore. From all of us to all of you, we'd like to say, please shine a spotlight on mental health awareness and make it blue. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Make It Blue Japan. We're all involved in event production. Some of us are freelancers, and our supporter, Ota Yashiki, a very famous musician, I think he's a freelancer too. As you may know, here in Japan, the Olympic Games were postponed. Although there were no lockdown, there were major impacts on the entertainment industry. The good thing is that the government is creating a guideline to support the freelancers. Make It Blue Japan kicked off when our national football team showed support to us. Within the next 2 months, more than 500 locations joined the Light It Blue movement, and more than 50 digital signages including Shibuya Crossing. A liquor company produced a rubbing alcohol with Make It Blue logo. The logo was all over the places, including on a virtual train and on a newspaper with augmented reality. On 30th of May, the Blue Impulse, the aerobatic team, flew over Tokyo. A big light-up day took place on 31st of May, and it was covered by major TV networks. And on 4th of July, Sean Del Mare played a game with a uniform with Make It Blue logo on it. And pretty soon, Make It Blue logo will be reaching the space. Thank you for watching.
So Kenny, you've been patiently waiting for your next bit. Can you tell us a little more about Argentina?
Yeah, well, we've been progressing around the world, and I didn't think we had any representation down in South America. So I reached out to a very old friend of mine who's a promoter and a freelance promoters rep in the region. He's based in Buenos Aires, and he has ties with various other countries down there. So I reached out to him at the end of April and didn't realise at the time, but as Sam says with Spain, they've been under a very strict curfew. They took on the challenge anyway, and they battered their head against the wall because of the lockdown. They took on them at first about 3 weeks after. They got a mall in a city called Rosario, which lit blue, and then since then they've just been battering away at the doors. This week they just got the obelisk of independence in Buenos Aires, along with a planetarium and also an arts museum in Mendoza lit. So, but they're still carrying on, and they're still pushing.
And while I've got you, maybe you can offer us a little hint about where we are now and what the future might hold for us as a collective.
Yeah, so after a few weeks of the sort of collective being together, it came down to a core group. We decided that we need to move something within the industry, and the idea always was to support mental health, both inside the industry and externally of it. Because of the skill set, we realized quickly that we could probably actually monetize a lot of what we do and get some cash to support various different people and various different charities within the industry. So we essentially set up a CIC, which is a community interest company, which will essentially allow us to formalize and handle monies better and have a legal and a corporate entity that can assist us and channel money.
Yeah. And finally, to summarize the significance of this summit and its relationship to our global collective's efforts, Gary and Chuck, would you like to take the final words between you, please?
Thanks, Tom. I seriously believe that that Make It Blue, the collective in the UK which started it and then moved it out into the world, shows the strength and the ability of freelance individuals who, whether they're in their comfort zone or out of their comfort zone, have been able to activate through contacts, through their knowledge, this extraordinary response from our industry to COVID, to show our flexibility. The original idea came, and the UK collective came together in about 2 or 3 days. We had a first meeting, and within 6 days we had our first activation, which got media interest from around the UK. It was a simple idea, but actually activating it with no money, having never all worked together before as well, remotely, is just an extraordinary achievement. And the fact that we did it in the UK, but it's also been repeated around the world by like-minded people, just shows the strength and importance of the freelance market people.
Thank you, Chuck. And Gary, your thoughts?
I mean, what was amazing, actually, I just have to go back to our collective, where everybody did work together with a good heart from day one, pro bono. Nobody at any point ever was considered payment, and the way that we've become this team now, almost like a family, and it's been a fantastic support for everybody's mental health and wellness, but in this most difficult time for the entertainment sector. And what, as Chuck mentioned, a lot of us have not worked with each other before, but certainly now we've got lifelong, friendships now from this. And again, we've expanded our contact list across the globe with other freelancers. But I mean, it's been an amazing quest for everybody. We never imagined on the first Thursday that we would be where we are now. But what an amazing bunch of people. And that's all I can say. It's been a fantastic journey. Thank you.
Gary, why don't I leave it to you to present the last video of today?
Yeah, so what we've been obviously documenting all of our works across the period from day one right through to now with Richard's company. They've pulled a video together, which is what we call our first 50 days. And this will show you the actual reality of how much work went in to the end result of Light It Blue across the globe, and obviously some of the other work of Make It Blue. Here we go.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please to swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, right up the road, I'll share your load if you just call me. Call me, I'm right here, right now. Call me, yeah.
Event freelancers, welcome to your new community, connecting you to your next project. Get connected. Sign up now. It's free.